Good evening from Yummy B TV. Wishing you all well, sending loads of love as usual. I've been asked a question, right? And, some of you like the old stuff, like the Craze and Harry and, some of the other, the Richardsons and that kind of stuff. Now, I saw Charlie in later years, obviously, when he was on the island with the drugs thing and that kind of stuff, right? I told you about Harry. I've been asked a question and I've never ever talked about him because it just doesn't come into my mind sometimes. But someone's asked me about Freddie Foreman, right? Now, I saw some things. Now, I've never met Freddie Foreman in my life, right? But I was on A Wing in the 80s in a four up with Roy Hilda, Ray Heather from Jamaica Road or somewhere like that, at a jewellery shop. It was a bit funny apparently in the end. Gerald Copeland, right? In them days, in the 80s, across the wing opposite was D Wing. And that was the only cat A Wing in Wandsworth. So from A Wing, you'd have to go through the yard, D Wing every day to get to the exercise yard, right? And all you see is 18 years, 20 years, 15 years, that kind of stuff. Where all the armed robberies and all that kind of thing. But the early blagging days, I first set eyes on most of the old lot as a youngster starred up in Wandsworth, right? Now, I used to listen to Roy Hilda, and all he used to talk about was Freddie Foreman. Now, I don't know if Roy Hilda was an armed robber or whatever, but I know he was a figure way back in the day, a proper geezer as well. Proper stuff. I liked his style. Oh, Blue Eyes, yeah. I saw him once outside as well after that time over something else. But we used to have exercise. A-Wing would have exercise with D-Wing. And that's where I first saw Johnny Reed. He was doing 22 years or something for armed robberies of some kind, I think. Either 18 or 22. It was like a big, massive sentence. Him and two other geezers, but I forgot the other two geezers' names. Now, I used to walk around the yard as a youngster. They used to say, come on, Yam, come walk with us. And I used to walk between the four of them each day. And all they used to talk about was Freddie Foreman. Now, they looked like heavy stuff to me back then, right? Johnny Reed and Roy Hilda. And some of the things they told me, because I haven't watched nothing of these old stories from back in the day on no channels. And I will tell you straight as it is. But now I've been asked the question. And the one thing that rings true out of all the old stories, and I forgot to tell you this, is Freddie Foreman. So Uncle Yami tells you today that I confirm that for certain man, Frankie Fraser, Eddie Richardson, those kind of people, in fact, it was Freddie Foreman who was the big don for all of them. From those lots' mouths, I heard it myself. I heard it. I heard a boy off with Eddie Richardson. I heard Frankie, whatever, right? Say no more. Ask Freddie Foreman, any of you, if they knew Johnny Reed and Roy Hilda and that lot. Because I've never spoken to him. To top it all off, imagine this, right? When I got the Queen's pardon in 89, right? 90, Downsview just opened. Remember, I couldn't get a DCAT for the Queen's pardon thing because I got that thing on my record when I was little with some arson thing that it's meant to be criminal damage, but it's on my record from young where there's some curtains in a detention centre got burned and they charged me with arson or something. So I couldn't get a DCAT for that Queen's pardon. So Downsview just opened. And guess who was there? Jimmy Huzzy, the great train robber, and Tommy Wisby doing a free stretch for travellers checks. Positive for travellers checks, doing a free each. This is years later after the great train robbery, right? And I used to have a flutter with Jimmy Huzzy, football man. out and out football man, proper geezer, Jimmy Huzzy, my favourite train robber, right? And I used to lap with him because Downton you could just go outside on the yard and walk round, and I used to walk round, and he used to tell me the same thing. He used to tell me he looked up to Freddie Foreman, Tommy Wisby. So imagine that. So some of the stories about the craze, because I get all these conflicting things being asked about them and whatnot, and Harry Roberts, you know, that when Harry Roberts was doing the robberies, apparently the craze, you wanted to try and squeeze him for a couple of quid, and he told him where to go. But I don't know whether that's true or not. But I heard one of them say that, right? I'll tell you that much. So I know about the buoying off, I know about the Richardsons, I know about everything. But I'm telling you today, oh, to top it all off, imagine this. Like, so that was 1990 in Downsview, right? When I got the Queen's Pardon, went home, and then obviously I went out long. And then all my trouble started, really, from there. I was on a train going from Beckenham in 2009, right? On restrictions, remember what I told you about the other stuff. I was on a Mappa hostel. I was on the train going from Beckenham to, you know, trying to get to Victoria or somewhere like that, where my hometown is. They had me far away from home. And I got on a train and I was talking on the phone to my sister at the time, saying, no, I ain't got no money. I have to be back at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. A man was sitting in front of me on the train. And I looked at him and I went, Jimmy. And it was Jimmy Huzzy. And when I came off the phone, he goes, what do you need, Yami? Sammy, innit? And I said, yeah. And he gave me 100 quid. Imagine that. I forgot to tell you that. I think I might have mentioned it before about the train robbery on my other channel, the one I lost, the first one. But I went, Jimmy, because he looks exactly the same. 19 years later, and shortly after he died, he had a lovely wife as well. I remember. So can you believe that? But chances of that, he was sitting opposite me on the train. Jimmy Huzzy, my favourite train robber, right? And all 4 or 5 of them that I listened to throughout those 80s, and I'm telling you, you know, if Uncle Yami swears blind on something, I'm telling you, all I heard about, the bigger man for all of them, every single one of them, for the organising, handing all the pies, for the doing his stuff when he did not even getting people to do it himself, that kind of stuff, I confirm from those 5 men that the truest story probably that's out there, and I might go and listen to it after in a minute because I've just been asked the question, is that Freddie Foreman was the real deal. So some of the stories I've been hearing since I come out about the craze and certain things about I laugh at certain things, no Uncle Yami, because you know that I was there and I listened and blah 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 blah. But you probably heard all the stories anyway about the Richardsons and the Frasers and whatever, I don't know. But Uncle Yami today confirms through the bigger men for me, the bigger man for them was the great Freddie Foreman. So I'm going to go and look at his story in a minute because someone's just tapped me on the shoulder and said, yeah, have a look. What do you think about him? But I can confirm. And I'll ask Freddie Foreman himself about Johnny Reed, Roy Elder, Tommy Wisby, Jimmy Huzzy. But he's probably mentioned them anyway. I don't know if he has. But Uncle Yami confirms that they confirmed that he was one of the greatest of all time in that life.